As autumn approaches, we have to look rather more closely to see what is new in the year's procession of wildflowers, because not everything is as obvious and eye-catching at this time of year as the white trumpets of hedge bindweed or the splashes of orange of Bartsia in the hedges. But few wildflowers are less eye-catching and obvious as this straggling plant with loose clusters of pinkish blossoms. And to appreciate the structure, the complexity of these flowers, you really need a microscope at the very least, your hand lens. This is red Bartsia, which is a member of the snapdragon family, and it belongs to an important cohort in that family of hemiparasites, half parasites, because although the plants are green and can manufacture their own food, they do so using nutrients that are stolen from the roots of grasses round about them. Eyebright is a more familiar example from earlier in the year, and red Bartsia resembles it in many aspects of its structure and floral biology. The flowers are bilaterally symmetrical or zygomorphic, with a two-lipped corolla, the upper lip a hooded cowl, sheltering the same basic arrangement of paired stamens in the ceiling of the hood as eyebright, one pair in front of the other. The lower lip is a conspicuous landing platform, three-lipped and pink in colour, which gradually darkens inward to crimson, drawing the alighting visitor towards the back of the corolla tube, where a well of nectar surrounds the base of the ovary. The visitors are bees, and it often seems to be particularly popular with honeybees. The flowers are markedly protogynous, the stigma often projecting far out of the flower even before it opens. The four upright, hairy anthers are tightly knit together by matted hairs in such a way that the bee can only insert its tongue along a centre line between the upright filaments to either side, and in doing so will inevitably touch the downward pointing ends of some of the anthers, and because all four are linked by those matted hairs, the slightest touch will release some of the dry, dusty pollen from all four. Downward pointing hairs on the sides of the anthers prevent the pollen from spilling sideways. The Latin scientific name for red Bartsia is odontites, which comes from the Greek word for a tooth. Our word dentistry comes from the same root, because red Bartsia was used to treat toothache, probably because of fancied resemblance of the flowers or fruits to teeth, albeit teeth that have never seen a dentist. But what about that odd English name, red Bartsia? Well, the name commemorates an otherwise more or less forgotten German botanist by the name of Johann Bartsch, who died in 1738 and perhaps deserves to be remembered for at least one other reason. He and Linnaeus were close friends, and when it proved impossible for Linnaeus to go on an important expedition to Suriname, Bartsch agreed to take his place and was dead within 6 months. Conditions proved to be so intolerable. He was aged 31 at the time. So perhaps, had it not been for Bartsch and Linnaeus had gone and met the same fate, he would never have written all the important works in biology, particularly in taxonomic biology, that he was beginning to churn out at that time. And Johann Bartsch was not entirely forgotten, because Linnaeus named this modest, and it has to be said perhaps rather forgettable weed, after his dead friend.